Things that's important about the SAT, we talk about why SAT is important to get into college. It's also very important for scholarship purposes. Most colleges that offer scholarships, it's an index. Certain SAT plus certain GPA equals 10,000. This SAT and that GPA will equal 5,000. And they really have literally an index to determine what kind of scholarship you get.
Do you have the index sheet? Can
Every
you give us
college
like
is
good
different.
stuff?
But like NYU and I used to work there, a 1,500 SAT and a 4.0 GPA will yield a lot more money than a 1,450 SAT with a 3.8 GPA. So, I mean, those things yield types of scholarships.
Why is the SAT so important? It's something that will standardize you. Not everyone takes AP Bio, not everyone takes AP Calc. SAT will standardize you, okay? And I've recently read taking pre-calculus will increase your chances of getting into a competitive college by 70%. It will, the kinds of classes you take. Is it safe to say that getting a 75 in pre-calc is okay because you've taken pre-calc?
It's more advisable to do better, but definitely take pre-calc.
The level of coursework you're taking, don't be afraid of taking a challenging class. That's very important.
I tell every kid in the school where I work, you must take pre-calc by graduation. Must. Because every kid has done Algebra 2 by junior year, then some kids who hate it, like, I want to stop math, I don't want to keep going. So, you're doing pre-calc senior year. And then in college, you'll have your one semester math requirement, and then you're done for life, if that's the case. But do pre-calc through senior year, colleges like to see it, and there's a reason for it in the American canon. It's not some frivolous course.
So I want to play a game called Fact or Fiction, and
Sure.
I figure why not? I have you here, you're being recorded. Okay, Fact or Fiction. If you take the SAT more than 3 times, colleges will not want you because you've taken it too many times.
Fiction, actually, for most colleges, you can hide your scores. And how it works is when you go to the College Board website, it'll literally say select this, select that. Some schools will say you must send everything, and you don't want to get in an ethical game, just send them what you got to send them. But for most schools, you can pick and choose.
Under the school choice policy, you pay $10 for each school that you send your scores to. Parents keep that in mind as the fees increase from now until next year.
And good advice also, the first time you're registering for the SAT, don't pick the 4 schools for free. Because you don't know if you're going to apply to those schools and what if the scores are low. So how it works is, if you take the SAT 4 times, 5 times, I mean, you can pick and choose highest scores. And very often the biggest jump can be someone who goes from second semester junior year to fall semester senior year. Just out of maturity, extra summer to prepare for it, that is natural. If the scores your first time are not to your liking, that's the case with most students in America. They take it a second time, if not wouldn't.
Fact or Fiction, writing section does not count.
I would say fiction, it's not as prioritized, but still important. As I said before, a very high writing score can definitely help you. A very low writing score can hurt you. So if you're someone in the 700s, like, wow, that's a nice score, that looks good. Maybe the student has a lot of depth. The writing used to be an SAT 2, and it was the most important SAT 2. They decided to tack it onto the actual SAT reasoning test because it was the most important SAT 2. So it still carries some weight, just not as prioritized for a lot of schools as math and critical reading.
I have a fun fact. When the College Board in 2002 decided to add the writing section as one of the critical components of the SAT test, guess how much money the College Board made in revenues that one year when they added the section to the test?
20 million.
$300 million. They make a lot of money off testing.
Do you guys know why they added the writing also?
Why?
Because the UC system, University of California, said if you don't add it, we're not having our kids take the SAT anymore. And the University of California system is obviously the biggest state system in the country. California's the biggest population. College Board didn't want to piss off the state of California. They said, okay, you want us to add writing? We'll add writing. That's the only reason there's a writing section of the SAT.
Fact or fiction, if I take the ACT, I don't need to take SAT subject tests.
So for some schools, they'll say the ACT can be in lieu of subject tests. However, anytime you can show yourself off with certain subjects on an application, you're only helping yourself out. So if you did an ACT, but you also did 3 subject tests, the 3 subject tests are helping you. And the ACT doesn't measure U.S. history, doesn't measure biology, doesn't measure literature. It doesn't. So that's why even with ACT, you still want to have subject tests.
Fact or fiction, I'm taking AP Bio, so I'm taking the AP at the end of the year. I don't need to take the SAT 2 subject test.
Fiction, and actually if you're prepared for AP Bio AP exam, you're more than prepared for the SAT subject test. So it's all about, if you're preparing yourself for the May AP exam, it's much more comprehensive than the subject test in June.
I want to invite you guys to throw out any questions at this time that you have.
I can myth bust if you want.
Yeah, let's keep going. Anything? Common. Fact or fiction, my guidance counselor will tell me exactly what I need to do to apply to college.
Depends what school you go to.
Except if it's him.
If it's me, I'll tell you everything you need to do. But you have to know, if you're in a school that has one counselor for 500 kids,
how about one counselor for 1,000 kids?
You might not get everything you need, that's true. But what's important to know is that, this point before I was going to say was about, I just lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. But your college counselor has the best interests at heart, but sometimes they just don't know certain policies of certain schools. They just don't have the deadlines in front of them. So anytime, I was going to say now. A lot of things you'll have to do independently. Do your own research online, look things up, speak to people. Certain websites are not friendly for applicants. For example, College Confidential. Or some website where it's just one person saying, I didn't like my experience. And that's what everyone thinks about that school. You have to do your own research, not just based on what one person's viewpoint was.
Fact or fiction, visiting the college doesn't matter.
Fiction.
Why?
The best way you have a sense of a school is by being there. And that's what I was saying before about NYU. You either know that you love it or you hate it. In a lot of schools, when you visit it, you have that sense right away, I really want to go here. Or if at the end you're like, oh, I'm really not sure, then it's true, you're really not sure. And it's good that you got to see it and you can weigh that in the end.
Fact or fiction, the schools do not keep track of whether I visit.
Okay, this is a good question. This is in the between. Most schools will have some kind of tracking system to determine your interests. It could be through filling out an online inquiry form. It could be because a campus representative came to your school and you filled out a form. It could be because you actually visited the school and you filled out the form, or it could be because you went into an open house. If you have all of these, it shows that you're interested. Some of the larger state universities, because they have so many hundreds of thousands of people coming to visit them, they don't weigh that as much. But most private schools out there will weigh demonstrated interest.
On the college application, they will ask, how did you first hear about this college?
A lot of schools will ask that. They want to know, did you hear about it through your guidance counselor? They want to know, did you hear about it through a friend, alum? But if you say visited, information session, tour, open house, and you're checking off all these boxes, it shows demonstrated interest. And why is demonstrated interest big, especially for regular decision schools? Let's say you don't get into an early decision school, you apply regular decision. Colleges know that you're applying to 10 other schools. They want to know, how are we sure you're going to come to us if we admit you? Right? Colleges, when they admit you, they want you to come. They want to have a strong yield, it's called.
Fact or fiction, I should only get letters of recommendation from classes in which I scored A's.
Fiction. If you got a B+, you worked your butt off for that B+, and the teacher saw the improvement from C- to a C+ to a B+, and you earned that B+, and it shows your tenacity, your determination, that makes a beautiful recommendation letter.
Okay,
One more thing about recommendations I'll say though, you have your 2 teachers and you have your counselor. Some kids like to think supplementary letters, if I have 10 supplementary letters, it's going to wow the colleges. No, no, no. Sometimes they say the thicker the file, the thicker the kid. You don't want to have too many supplementary letters, because at one point, I remember one time a kid had a supplementary letter from a 5th grade teacher, from an 8th grade teacher, from 3rd grade. What's it doing at this point? It's just too much. It's not necessary.
fact or fiction, I'm a nice kid. They will admit me.
So here's good fiction. The school where I work, we tell kids at SAR, it's called SAR High School, your parents love you, your teachers love you, your friends love you, the administration loves you. College admissions people, they don't love you. They don't know you, and for every year, there's another thousands of you out there.
They love the money.
So, we'll talk about, that's a good thing to talk about actually for